Resident Evil. The long-time-running horror franchise has seen many games come out over the years, and of course, lots of merchandise to go along with it. Now, this day and age, it is not unordinary to see some really cool, highly detailed action figures based on some games, even spooky ones like this. But Resident Evil got its first run as an action figure toy line back in the 90s, from a company that was mostly known for producing superhero action figures. That company being Toy Biz. So let's take a look at the awesome Resident Evil action figure offerings from Toy Biz. In the 1990s, Toy Biz was the toy company that was finally delivering action figures of many of our favorite video game characters. Their Video Game Superstars line gave us plastic versions of characters from games such as Tomb Raider, Mario Kart, and yes, Resident Evil. The survival horror game series known as Resident Evil doesn't seem like a very appropriate title for making kids' action figures, but Toy Biz produced many figures based on both Resident Evil 1 and 2. And while the figures were certainly more basic and filled with gimmicky action features, it's safe to say that many gamers and collectors were all over these. So let's take a look at each of the figures that Toy Biz released in their Resident Evil series. From the first Resident Evil game, Toy Biz gave us 4 figure releases, though each came with multiple figures in a pack, usually one larger figure and one smaller figure. Kicking off the line were the heroes. Jill Valentine came with a Webspinner. Now, the figure of Jill features a pretty standard articulation system for the time, and one thing you'll notice throughout each of the figures is that they all feature preset action poses, so there really isn't a lot of different posing you can do with these figures. Jill includes a large gun with a projectile missile fired by pressing a button on the top. She also has a lever on her back that is interesting, as it doesn't really do much but slightly turn her head and move her arm. This is another consistent theme on these toys. You're going to see this lever used on most of the humans. Now, the web spinner she comes with is a pretty cool looking figure, and it has its very own action feature. By pressing a button on its head, the back opens up and launches 2 rubber strings of baby spiders. As you can see, the action feature only works some of the time, so it's a cool concept, it's just not executed very well. Next up is Chris Redfield with Cerberus. Chris has the exact same type of articulation as Jill and even has that same lever action feature. He includes 2 guns, one of which is another projectile-firing oversized gun. Now, the Cerberus figure that he comes with is really cool looking, just like that web spinner, but has another dud of an action feature. He's supposed to explode, but the feature doesn't really work all that well, and the figure just kind of falls apart by itself all the time. Doesn't do a very good job of staying together, but I will say it's quite gruesome looking seeing this guy in all these parts. Now, we get lots of great villains in this toy line. For example, here's the Hunter and Chimera. The Hunter has a decent amount of articulation, and I love the hunk of brains that you see sculpted attached to his fingers. Now, the Chimera is quite creepy looking in his own right, but once again, it's another dud of an action feature. His head is supposed to shoot off at the touch of a button, but in order to make his head detach, you basically just have to turn the figure upside down. Then there's the Forest Speyer and Labcoat Zombie. Now, the Labcoat Zombie has a really great design and just a little bit of articulation with no extra added gimmicks or action features. The Forest Speyer's got a neat action feature. When you turn the lever on the base, the zombie rises up from the ground and raises his arms outward. You can also detach the zombie from the base if you'd like to stand him on his own. Then rounding out the Resident Evil 1 series is the Tyrant. This figure comes all by himself, but he is massive in comparison to the other figures in the line. This one measures around 7 inches tall in scale, while all the others are around the 4-inch scale. At one time, he had a really cool blood-pumping action feature where you could actually see liquid blood in the heart on his chest, but unfortunately over the years it's dried out and there's no longer any liquid in there. So that's the assortment of figures we got based on the first Resident Evil video game. Right after that, Toy Biz released a series of figures based on Resident Evil 2. And first up in that series is Leon Kennedy. Now, Leon is made just like Chris and Jill, with that exact same lever action feature on his back. Leon comes with a licker. Now, the licker is also really cool looking, just like all the other little side characters we've gotten, but he does feature very minimal articulation. The only real way you can pose this guy is crawling on the ground the way you see here. He does have an action feature in his tongue. If you wind it up, it just kind of spins on its own, but it spins so fast that it's hardly even noticeable. Next up is Claire Redfield, who comes with a zombie cop. Now, Claire is once again made the exact same way we've seen all the other human figures so far, complete with that lever on her back. The zombie cop that she comes with is really cool, and you've gotta love the little touches like the donut in his hand. The zombie cop has the ability to fall apart at his waist, and when you take the cap off his head, his brains come off with it. The next figure released was William Birkin, who comes by himself, but is a massive figure just like the Tyrant was. He has the ability to be displayed 2 different ways, either with his G-Virus Stage 3 mutation, or you can transform him and switch his head to put him in his G-Virus Stage 4 mutation. Ada Wong is the first human figure that does not have the lever action feature on her back. She is just a basic figure with a decent amount of articulation and seems to have a bit of a nicer sculpt than some of the other figures. She also features a cloth red dress, and she comes with the massive Ivy figure. Ivy is really cool looking, and the head is made of a soft rubbery plastic that opens and closes at the mouth when pressing a button on his back. Hunk and the Zombie are probably the cheapest set of figures in this entire line. Hunk once again resorts back to that same style human body that we've seen everyone but Ada use so far, complete with that same lever action feature on his back that doesn't quite work too well. Then the zombie he comes packaged with is really cool looking, but it's worth noting it's the exact same zombie that was released in the Resident Evil 1 line, just with a new head and lacking the lab coat. The next release was another William Birkin figure. This one is in the G-Virus Stage 2 mutation, and he features this really cool giant eyeball on his arm that has the ability to move by turning a knob on his back. He is a very gruesome and really cool looking figure, and he also includes a simple minifigure of Sherry Birkin. This is probably my favorite figure in the entire series and is actually one of the more sought after figures in the entire Toy Biz Resident Evil toy line. And lastly, the very last figure we released was Mr. X. Mr. X is a pretty cool looking figure, and he is larger than all of the humans. He's very standard and has got a pretty decent amount of articulation and comes with a removable cloth black coat. Now, if you pull off that coat, you can also attach 2 arm attachments and 1 head attachment to turn this guy into the Super Tyrant. So with the release of Mr. X, we come to the end of Toy Biz's Resident Evil toy line. Now, the company actually gave us a pretty wide selection of characters from these fan-favorite games, as you can see. And while they may seem a little crude by today's toy standards, then they do have the habit of including action features that don't work properly, the truth is that these were very popular and are still sought after even today. Just look at some of the asking prices for these figures on the aftermarket and you'll see what I mean. Some of them are incredibly expensive these days. Now, NECA would eventually go on to make some better detailed, more game-accurate figures of most of these characters, and even some from the more recent Resident Evil video games. But, for the times that these released, these were pretty amazing toys, and still hold a certain charm today.
Hey, dude. Man, you should really put your hide key in a better place. I had to pick the lock. Ah! Dude, why?
Oh my god, what happened?
This zombie was trying to break into our house, so I grabbed a gun and I shot him dead. And now we're safe. I saved us. Yeah.
That's your friend.
What?
Yeah, that's your friend. Remember he was supposed to come and visit you?
Isn't that a zombie?
No!